10 greatest medical discoveries of all time. Number 10. Penicillin. In 1928, scientist Alexander Fleming left a number of petri dishes uncovered in his lab while he went away on holiday. Upon his return, he discovered that bacterial mold had grown in some places, but not in others. What had prevented the mold from growing further was the presence of a substance that would later be developed into penicillin. Today, penicillin is one of the world's most widely used drugs, prescribed to treat a great variety of bacterial infections. The New World Encyclopedia estimates that approximately 200 million lives have been saved by its discovery. Number 9. IVF. In 1977, a pioneering procedure took place, which resulted in the birth of Louise Brown, the first ever human conceived through in vitro fertilization. The breakthrough had been made possible by Dr. Patrick Steptoe, who had been the first person to safely remove eggs from a woman's ovaries. Using physiologist Robert Edwards' knowledge of how to fertilize an egg outside of the body, Steptoe managed to successfully implant the zygote into Louise's mother, Leslie Brown. Since then, fertility treatment has helped to allow over 5 million babies to be born worldwide. Number 8. Anesthesia. The introduction of anesthesia has completely transformed surgery. For much of history, surgeons would operate on fully conscious patients. They would saw through limbs in less than a minute as the strapped-down amputee howled in agony. Many different substances have been used as anesthetics, with the greatest amount of progress in the practice occurring in the 19th century. Opium, ether, chloroform, and even cocaine have all been trialled in surgery. Modern anesthesia has allowed for much longer surgical procedures. For example, in 1951, doctors in Chicago performed a 96-hour operation to remove a giant ovarian cyst, the longest operation ever performed. Number 7. Germ theory. Prior to the 19th century realization that illness was caused by microorganisms, no one knew the importance of good hygiene. Even doctors were known to walk straight from autopsies to the maternity ward without washing their hands. Numerous figures were instrumental in the development of germ theory. In 1854, English Dr. John Snow linked a cholera outbreak to a particular water pump in London, suggesting a link between contaminated water and disease. Microbiologist Louis Pasteur later proved germ theory in laboratory conditions, followed by surgeon Joseph Lister, who pioneered the introduction of sanitary hospital environments. Number 6. X-rays. X-rays were discovered by accident in 1895 by physicist Wilhelm Röntgen while he was experimenting with different rays of light. Within a month of his discovery, several hospitals in Europe and the United States had constructed X-ray machines, and only 6 months later, the invention was being used by battlefield physicians to locate bullets in wounded soldiers. Today, X-rays are among the most significant pieces of equipment at a doctor's disposal, being used to detect fractures, diagnose cancers, and also in dental surgery. In 1901, Röntgen was awarded the first Nobel Prize in Physics. Number 5. DNA. First identified by Friedrich Miescher in 1869, DNA contains all of the genetic information that determines an individual's distinctive traits. The discovery of DNA's double helix structure was first noted in 1953 by James Watson and Francis Crick using photographs taken by Rosalind Franklin and Maurice Wilkins. The increased medical comprehension of DNA has led to a much better understanding of numerous diseases. It has opened doors for the practice of gene therapy, which could be used to treat debilitating conditions such as cystic fibrosis or Alzheimer's. Number 4. Blood types. In 1900, Austrian scientist Karl Landsteiner became the first person to successfully identify the O, A, and B blood types. He was awarded the 1930 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine as a result. Landsteiner's discovery led to an understanding of how a human's immune system would attack the foreign substances contained within an incompatible blood donation. Using this information, the medical world was able to create an infinitely safer system of blood transfusions. Today, there are 14.6 million blood transfusions a year in America alone. Number 3. Smallpox vaccination. Smallpox was one of the deadliest diseases of all time, killing somewhere between 300 and 500 million people in total. In the late 18th century, Edward Jenner developed the idea of a vaccination against the disease, after he noticed that milkmaids exposed to cowpox were unable to contract smallpox. Following his preliminary experiments, including one on his own 11-month-old son, the use of smallpox vaccinations soon became widespread. The World Health Organization declared the disease eradicated in 1980. This paved the way for further developments in vaccinations against other diseases. Number 2. Insulin. With increasing obesity rates and diabetes now affecting 371 million people worldwide, the importance of insulin's discovery is becoming ever more prominent. In the early 20th century, type 1 diabetes was effectively a terminal diagnosis, with dietary regulation only having a very limited impact. Diabetes is caused by the body's incapacity to regulate the production of insulin. In 1921, scientists from the University of Toronto managed to isolate the insulin hormone for artificial production. The following year, 14-year-old Leonard Thompson became the first human to receive an insulin injection, saving his life. Number 1. HeLa cells. When Henrietta Lacks died of cervical cancer in 1951, she had no idea how vital samples of her cells would be to the future of medicine. Known as HeLa cells, or the immortal cell line, Henrietta's cells were a medical first, as they were able to be cultured indefinitely for use in experiments. Scientists have used them to further our understanding of cancer, HIV, and the human body in general. They were an instrumental factor behind the development of the polio vaccine in the 1950s, and consequently have been credited with saving millions of lives. However, controversy surrounded the cultivation of HeLa cells, as Henrietta and her family were not even aware the sample had been taken.